Hi, I'm Ethan Carter, and this is the story of how I turned betrayal into triumph. You see, in both business and family, the people you trust the most are often the ones who can hurt you the deepest. But here's the thing, they often forget to check what's beneath their feet before they push you off the cliff. Let me take you back to where it all began. My father, Richard Carter, was a brilliant software engineer who built Carter Solutions from scratch. It wasn't always the $100 million company it became. 15 years ago, it was just a struggling IT consulting firm, barely staying afloat. My dad was a genius when it came to technology, but he was terrible at running a business. By 2010, we were 3 months away from bankruptcy, and the stress was taking a toll on his health. I was 25, fresh out of business school, eager to prove myself. My older brother Ryan was 30 and already a well-known face in the local nightlife scene. Dad always favored Ryan, the charming firstborn who could talk his way out of anything. But charm doesn't pay the bills, and Ryan's reckless lifestyle had already cost the company several major clients. I'll never forget the rainy Tuesday when I found my dad slumped over his desk, tears in his eyes as he stared at the latest financial reports. "It's over, Ethan," he whispered, his voice broken. "Everything I built, I'm going to lose it all." Something inside me snapped that day. I couldn't stand by and watch my father's dream die, even if he always saw me as second best. That moment changed everything for me. I couldn't let my father's dream crumble, even if he didn't believe in me the way he believed in Ryan. While Ryan was out spending company money at exclusive clubs, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. The first year was brutal. I worked 18-hour days, learning every single aspect of the business. I met with every client, reviewed every contract, and even handled the smallest operational details. I didn't have time to think about anything else. My mom, worried sick, would bring me dinner at midnight and beg me to rest. "Ethan, you can't save the company by yourself," she'd say. But that's exactly what I did. The company was bleeding money, so I made tough decisions. I restructured our debt, cut unnecessary expenses, and yes, that included Ryan's entertainment budget. I personally visited every major client we'd lost, even though most of them slammed their doors in my face. But I kept going back, again and again. Persistence pays off, and by the end of that year, we were finally breaking even. Ryan, of course, found it hilarious. "Look at little Ethan, plain businessman," he'd mock whenever he bothered to show up at the office. "Dad's still going to put me in charge, you know. I'm the oldest." I ignored him. I didn't have time for his arrogance. Over the next 5 years, I transformed Carter Solutions from a struggling IT consulting firm into a full-service digital transformation company. We developed proprietary software solutions, expanded into cloud services, and built a reputation for excellence in the industry. The company grew exponentially. Revenue jumped from $2 million to $10 million, then $50 million, and finally crossed the $100 million mark. Our staff grew from 20 to over 500 employees, and we opened offices in 3 countries. As the company flourished, so did my father's health. He seemed happier, lighter, like the weight of the world had been lifted off his shoulders. But one thing didn't change: his favoritism toward Ryan. Every success was somehow attributed to Ryan's leadership, even though he spent most of his time planning his next vacation. At family dinners, Dad would praise Ryan's business acumen, while I sat quietly, scrolling through quarterly reports on my phone. But I didn't care about the credit. I cared about the company, our employees, and the legacy we were building. Besides, I had my own plans. What nobody knew, not even my father, was that I'd been carefully documenting everything over the years. Every decision Ryan sabotaged, every client he lost, every dollar he wasted. More importantly, I'd been quietly building relationships with our key clients, making myself indispensable to their operations. I had one more secret. During the company's darkest days, when we were on the brink of bankruptcy, I'd used my own savings and taken out personal loans to keep us afloat. In exchange, I received shares. Lots of shares. The paperwork was buried in mountains of corporate documentation, but legally, at the time, I thought that would be enough to protect me. I couldn't have been more wrong. The next 5 years were a whirlwind of growth and transformation. Carter Solutions was no longer the struggling IT consulting firm it had once been. Under my leadership, we pivoted into a full-service digital transformation company. We didn't just fix problems for our clients, we created solutions. I spearheaded the development of proprietary software that streamlined operations for businesses, expanded our services into cloud computing, and built a reputation for delivering cutting-edge technology. Clients started to see us as more than just a vendor. We became their trusted partner. The results were undeniable. Revenue skyrocketed from $2 million to $10 million, then $50 million, and finally, we crossed the $100 million mark. Our team grew from a small group of 20 employees to over 500, and we opened offices in 3 different countries. But while the company thrived, the family dynamic stayed the same. My father, Richard, still saw Ryan as the golden child. At every family dinner, he'd go on about Ryan's vision and leadership, even though Ryan spent most of his time planning his next vacation or throwing lavish parties. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. I wasn't in this for the recognition. I was in it for the company, for the employees who depended on us, and for the clients who trusted us. Still, I couldn't ignore the growing resentment. Ryan mocked me every chance he got, calling me the backup plan or the workhorse. And my father? He never once acknowledged the sacrifices I'd made or the sleepless nights I'd endured to save the company. But I had my own plans. What no one knew, not even my father, was that I'd been quietly preparing for the day when everything would change. I'd documented every mistake Ryan made, every client he lost, and every dollar he wasted. I'd built strong relationships with our key clients, ensuring they trusted me more than anyone else. And then there was my 40% ownership stake. During the company's darkest days, I'd used my own savings and taken out personal loans to keep us afloat. In return, I'd secured a significant share of the company. It was buried deep in the paperwork, but it was there. I thought that would be enough to protect me. I thought my hard work and dedication would speak for themselves. But I was wrong. I'll never forget the day it all came crashing down. It was a Friday afternoon, and my father called an all-hands meeting. The entire company gathered in the main conference room, and those who couldn't fit were watching via video call. I thought it was going to be a routine announcement, maybe a new client win or an update on our expansion plans. But then my father stood up, cleared his throat, and said, "As you all know, I've been planning my retirement for some time now. Today I'm proud to announce that the new CEO of Carter Solutions will be Ryan Carter." The room erupted in applause, but I just sat there, frozen. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ryan? The same Ryan who barely showed up to work? The same Ryan who had cost us clients and wasted company money? My father continued, "Ryan has always had the vision and leadership qualities this company needs to move forward. I'm confident he'll take Carter Solutions to even greater heights." I wanted to stand up and say something, but before I could, Ryan took the stage. He was grinning from ear to ear, basking in the attention. "Thank you, Dad," he said, his voice dripping with fake humility. "And thank you to everyone here for believing in me. I promise to lead this company with integrity and innovation." Then he turned to me. "And of course, I want to thank my little brother Ethan for all his hard work over the years. You've been a great support system, and I know you'll continue to be one as we move forward." The words felt like a slap in the face, but the worst was yet to come. After the meeting, Ryan called me into his new office. He didn't waste any time. "You think, he said, leaning back in his chair. "I've been reviewing some of your decisions over the years, and frankly, I'm concerned. There are a lot of things that don't add up. Unauthorized expenses, questionable contracts. I can't have that kind of behavior in my company." I stared at him, stunned. "What are you talking about? Every decision I made saved this company. You know that." He smirked. "Maybe, but the board doesn't see it that way. Effective immediately, you're fired. Security will escort you out." I couldn't believe it. Fired? From the company I'd built with my own blood, sweat, and tears? As I was being escorted out of the building, I looked back at the Carter Solutions logo on the wall. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and determination. Ryan thought he'd won. He thought he'd taken everything from me. But what he didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this moment for years. That weekend, I sat in my apartment, staring at the box of personal items I'd been allowed to take from my office. My mind was racing. I wasn't just angry, I was furious. But I wasn't going to let my emotions get the better of me. Ryan thought he'd won. He thought he could take everything I'd built and claim it as his own. But what he didn't realize was that I had something he didn't: the truth. For years, I'd been documenting everything. Every reckless decision Ryan made, every dollar he wasted, every client he drove away. It was all there, neatly organized in a folder on my laptop. I also had copies of emails, financial reports, and even recordings of meetings where Ryan blatantly ignored advice that could have saved the company money. But that wasn't all. Remember those shares I mentioned? The 40% ownership stake I'd secured during the company's darkest days? That was my ace in the hole. Legally, I was still one of the largest shareholders in Carter Solutions, and Ryan couldn't take that away from me. I spent the entire weekend putting my plan into motion. First, I reached out to a lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Claire, who specialized in corporate law. I laid everything out for her: the documentation, the ownership stake, and the blatant mismanagement by Ryan. She listened carefully, then leaned back in her chair and said, "Ethan, you have a strong case. But if we're going to do this, we need to be strategic." And strategic we were. On Monday morning, while Ryan was likely nursing a hangover from whatever party he'd thrown to celebrate his victory, I made my move. I sent an email to the board of directors attaching a detailed report of Ryan's mismanagement and unethical behavior. I also included a summary of my contributions to the company's success, backed by hard data and testimonials from key clients. The email ended with a simple statement: "As a 40% shareholder in Carter Solutions, I demand an emergency board meeting to address these issues immediately." The response was swift. By noon, I received a call from one of the board members. "Ethan, we've reviewed your email and we're deeply concerned. We'll schedule a meeting for tomorrow morning." But I wasn't done yet. That afternoon, I met with several of our biggest clients, people I'd built strong relationships with over the years. I explained the situation, and without hesitation, they pledged their support. "If you're not involved with Carter Solutions, we're pulling our contracts," one of them said. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom with Claire by my side. Ryan was already there, looking smug as ever. But his confidence started to waver as the board members began questioning him about the evidence I'd presented. "Ryan, can you explain why the company lost 3 major clients last year?" one member asked. "And what about these unauthorized expenses?" another chimed in. Ryan stammered, trying to come up with excuses, but the evidence was overwhelming. By the end of the meeting, it was clear that the board had lost faith in him. Then came the final blow. Claire stood up and presented the legal documents proving my 40% ownership stake. "As a major shareholder, Mr. Carter has the right to demand a vote of no confidence in the current CEO," she said. The room went silent. Ryan's face turned pale. The vote was unanimous. Ryan was removed as CEO, effective immediately. But I wasn't interested in taking his place. I'd already decided I was done with Carter Solutions. Instead, I sold my shares for a hefty sum and walked away. Walking out of that boardroom, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I was free from the toxic family dynamics, the constant struggle for recognition, and the betrayal that had nearly broken me. But I wasn't done yet. With the money I earned from selling my shares, I started my own company, Evolve Tech Solutions. This time I built it my way, from the ground up. I handpicked a team of passionate, talented individuals who shared my vision for innovation and integrity. Evolve Tech wasn't just another IT company. We focused on creating cutting-edge software solutions that empowered small and medium-sized businesses to compete with industry giants. Within a year, we had already signed contracts with several of the clients who had left Carter Solutions after my departure. And the best part? I was finally doing something I loved, surrounded by people who respected and believed in me. As for Ryan and my father, well, Carter Solutions didn't fare so well without me. The company struggled under Ryan's leadership, losing clients and burning through cash. Within 2 years, they were forced to sell to a competitor for a fraction of what it was worth. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little satisfaction when I heard the news, but more than anything, it reminded me of an important lesson. Success isn't just about hard work or talent. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone take it away from you. Today, Evolve Tech is thriving, and I've never been happier. The betrayal that once felt like the end of my world turned out to be the beginning of something far greater. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's moving on and building something better.